Hi guys, how you all doing? It's Will here, back for another fight card prediction. We're going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 71 from San Diego, California, as the heavyweights take centre stage here as Frank Mir takes on Todd Duffee in a pretty nice main event. I like the main event. The card throughout is actually pretty decent. I like some of the matchups on there. I think the co-main event's a really good fight as well, and the Josh Thompson fight against Tony Ferguson I think is a really good fight against the old guard against the new guard. So it's a fun card. I have my videos out for UFC 178. I have one with Aldo, I have one without Aldo, I have the tough finale one, so go check them out as well. And I will be filming my UFC Glasgow picks tomorrow before I fly out to Las Vegas on Tuesday. So pretty decent card. It's kind of, I had a look at the card altogether, and it's kind of rare these days that you're looking at Wikipedia pages, doing a little bit of research, and actually you can click on every one of the people's name and it actually shows up with something. So that's different. You don't have to go out looking as much. But we're going to start off down the middleweight division. We have Kevin Casey against Ildemar Alcantara. Kevin Casey, this is his first fight in about a year or so. Got popped for Drostantalone, I believe it was, after the win over Bubba Bush, where he won that. And this is his first fight back. Carson Gracie, black belt, very good when he gets to the bottom. He's very top heavy when he gets down there. He lands some big strikes as well, with elbows, with hammer fists. Before that, he won via KO and RFA against Andrew Sanchez, which I thought was a really nice knockout to get himself into the UFC. But he was an Ultimate Fighter, and he was injured a lot, and it's something that some fighters, it happens to a lot, where injuries just follow them wherever they go, and it's just a parcel of the game. But he seems to catch a lot of injuries, does Kevin Casey. But if he's healthy here, I see him as a really good chance of beating Ildemar Alcantara. Alcantara really hasn't, he's been around the UFC a little bit now, but he's not really, it's hard to pinpoint what he's actually good at, to be honest with you. Came in against Wagner Prado, not a great fighter at all, even though he's won his last 4 outside the UFC. We may see him in the UFC very soon again. Wins over Leandro Silva via decision, lost to Araujo via decision, won a split against Tumanov, which in years to come could be a very good win. But it's a good time. He had a good time to get Tumanov, because Tumanov is now up and coming and we're seeing what he's all about. Lost to Kenny Robertson, and a win last time against Richardson Mojica. A guy who kind of pushes you against the fence, tries to get you down and uses jiu-jitsu skills, but he'll keep you against the fence. He'll hit you with some strikes, but he'll instantly try and look for that takedown to take you down there. If I had to pick a win on this fight, I'm going to go Kevin Casey. I think he can stop the fight. If he doesn't do it early, I think it could turn into a little bit of a sloppy fight towards the end. I think it's going to be a split decision victory for Kevin Casey. Next up in the welterweight division, we have Andrew Craig against Lyman Good. Andrew Craig looks like he's coming down. I didn't notice he was actually going down to welterweight for this fight. I actually watched him fight against Luke Barnett, and he was just never in that fight. If I'm being honest with you, I seen him most of that week, and he just didn't look. I think he maybe had a tough weight cut, or maybe it was the travel that got him, but he just didn't look on form at all for that fight. And Luke Barnett kind of made him pay with some huge shots straight down the pipe, and got his back and tapped him out with a rear naked choke. Pretty good to see Lyman Good here get a chance in the UFC. He was an Ultimate Fighter. He's a former Bellator champion. Fought some really good guys back in the day. Andrei Koreshkov, who is fighting Lima soon, faced Ben Askren. He's won 4 of his last 5 fights, and one of those fights in the 5 fights was a no contest against current UFC fighter Jonathan Webb. He's finished 3 of his last 4 with wins over Matt Sikora, who was back in the Ultimate Fighter back a few years now, Micah Tarat via rear naked choke, and Nashon battle for the CFFC welterweight championship. This is going to be another close fight, but I like Andrew Craig in this one. If he has a good weight cut, I firmly believe he will win this fight. So my pick is going to be Andrew Craig via it's tough because Andrew Craig has knockout power. We saw that against Rafael Natal. He's got some big strikes if he lands them, but I think I'm going to go Andrew Craig by decision. Next up, we've got Igor Araujo against Sean Strickland. I think this is pretty much easy fight for Sean Strickland. I don't see where Araujo can really hurt him too much. Araujo has been around a long time. He was an Ultimate Fighter himself. I think it was the Corwin season, which was total shit, if I'm being honest. It's one of the worst seasons I've ever seen. He's got wins over Aldemar Alcantara and Danny Mitchell, which isn't really big wins, if in all honesty. And he lost last time out down in Brazil to George Sullivan. He got hit with some big shots, taken down, ground and pounded out very, very easily. Has a bad gas tank. Strickland is the younger fighter here. He's coming off his first loss of his career, right enough, to Santiago Ponzinibbio. It was a decent fight, just Ponzinibbio took over that fight, hurt him up against the cage with some big shots, as Ponzinibbio can. Before that, he had a kind of controversial win over Luke Barnett. I think I gave that to Barnett. And he submitted Bubba McDaniel in his UFC debut, which is not saying too much because McDaniel isn't great. So I like Sean Strickland here. I like him via finish. I like him via TKO in the second round. Moving on to the bantamweight division, we have Hani Yahya against Masanori Kanehara. Yahya, he's been around for a long time. I mean, I think he fought a way back. He's fought good guys since a way back, like WEC 27 against Mark Hominick, former WEC bantamweight champion. He's fought a lot of the top guys: your Benavides, your Wineland, Melendez, Misagaki. He's faced a lot of top guys, and he seems to be coming along. His striking's coming along a long way, and he's engaging a little bit more. He's always going to have those jiu-jitsu skills, his grappling skills, and he's very sneaky when he goes to the bottom. We saw that in his last win against Johnny Bedford, where he caught a lovely Kimura in the second round. In that one there, and he's got wins over Josh Clopton, Masuta Hirota, and Josh Grisby in the UFC, along with Mike Brown. So I think Yaya's going to have I like Yahya a lot in this fight, if I'm being honest with you. Kanehara is a fighter. He's coming off a decent win himself, in all honesty, and he's pretty good at submitting people himself. He's coming off a win over Bruce Leroy Caceres. I just think that they're both kind of similar fighters in a way, but Yahya is just a lot progressed further than what Kanehara is, and can I see a finish in this fight? I think I can see a finish, maybe a late finish for Yahya in the third round. If not, I can see him get a decision victory here, but I'm going to go with submission victory for Hani Yahya via submission in the third round. Excuse me. Next up in the bantamweight division, we have Scott Jorgensen against Manny Gamburyan. Just looking at this here, when I was watching some tape on Scott Jorgensen, the guy's lost 6 of his last 8 fights, and how this guy's still in the UFC, I have no idea. Albeit he's lost to really talented fighters. You've got Henan Barrow in there. You have Uriah Faber. Wilson Heiss was his last loss. Juicy Formega's a top guy. Makovsky's no slouch. So he's lost to really good guys, but his wins are over not great fighters. John Albert wasn't a great fighter. Danny Martinez, not a great fighter. It's kind of weird seeing this guy in the UFC with 6 of his last 8, kind of losing 6 of his last 8 fights in the UFC. This is a big fight for Scott Jorgensen against Manny Gamburyan, who seems to be declining himself, but he dropped down to the 135-pound weight division last time out against Cody Gibson at UFC 178 and looked fantastic and got the finish over him there. This could be sloppy. Jorgensen seems to get injured quite a lot now, so there's something to kind of keep an eye out. I think this could be a sloppy decision victory. I actually think Manny Gamburyan, I'm going to pick him here, but I've no confidence in it whatsoever. So I'm going to go Manny Gamburyan versus via split decision. Next up, we've got Jessica Andrade against Sarah Moraes. I think this is a good fight for Jessica Andrade. Moraes was on the Tough Show. Okay, she's got some jiu-jitsu skills. Faced Alexis Dufresne last time out. I think that was quite a controversial one, if I remember right as well. Decent when it goes to ground, but Jessica Andrade is levels above this girl and should really take her out. But I kind of said that last time out when she faced Marion Renault. She hurt Renault, came in and was just got overly aggressive down on the ground, and Renault was on her back and caught a beautiful triangle choke from the bottom and lost the fight there, which a lot of people were favouring Jessica Andrade in that fight. I was definitely one of them. Renault, it was just a beautiful submission, one of the best submissions of this year. Before that, she had wins over Larissa Pacheco, Raquel Pennington, and Rosie Sexton. I saw the Rosie Sexton fight, and that was brutal. Absolutely brutal. She beat the living shit out of Rosie Sexton. I think she will do this here to Sarah Morais, and I like Jessica Andrade to finish this fight inside 2 rounds. I think she will probably submit Sarah Morais, and she will move on there. And in the featured fight of the preliminary card, we have Sam Sicilia against Yatsin Meza. Sam Sicilia, we all know what he's all about. He's got big power shots. He looks for them. He showed last time out against Akira Kurosani that Kurosani is now retired, thankfully enough, because he was taking so much damage. But he caught him with a huge hook down in Sweden, took him out there. But he kind of trades wins and losses. He lost to Cole Miller. If I'm looking right here, Maximo Blanco lost, beat Godofredo Pepe by TKO, lost to Cole Miller, beat Aaron Phillips, who I picked Aaron Phillips to win that fight, but had no grappling or wrestling chops whatsoever. Katsunori Kakuno got submitted in there, and he knocked out Akira Kurosani. I think he's got a pretty favourable match here, as long as he can keep it standing and show some improved takedown defence against Yatsin Meza, who's coming off a win at UFC Poland against Damian Stasiak. A guy who came into the UFC, was kind of cannon fodder for Chad Mendes, got knocked out in the first round down there, wins over Albert, a no contest with Chico Camus, lost to Sergio Pettis, and then he beat Stasiak last time out there. Fights out the lab in Arizona. All round a decent fighter, but I think this is a good fight for Sam Sicilia to actually win 2 fights in a row here, if he can keep it standing. It is a big if. If Meza can survive the first maybe 5 to 7 minutes in the fight, I'm favouring him. If Sicilia can just get off quick and hit Meza with some power shots, I think this is going to go over very, very quickly. I am going to go with Sam Sicilia. I think he can get the TKO victory. So Sam Sicilia via TKO. Moving on to the main card, which I really, really like. Starting off in the welterweight division, we've got Alan Jouban against Matt Dwyer. Both guys who are kind of up and coming in the welterweight division. Alan Jouban is a guy I've been watching for a long time. I saw him back in RFA when he fought Biggie Rhodes, and he's just improving. The guy's got some lethal striking. We saw in his UFC debut against Seth Brzezinski, where he came out and he just totally annihilated Seth Brzezinski. That was a bit of a firefight, that one. They both went each other, and he caught him with a huge punch. Went down to Brazil, faced Varley Alves. That was heavily contested. Actually gave it to Alan Jouban in that fight. Alves is an up-and-coming guy as well, a good prospect. And last time out at UFC 184 against Richie Walsh, put Richie Walsh against the cage and hit him with a beautiful elbow and followed up with punches for a nice win. So there's a guy who's ever improving. He's very dangerous on the feet. He's very dangerous with some of his submissions, not with his submissions, his transitions on the ground, and he can catch you from down there. But he's against Matt Dwyer here, who showed last time out with a beautiful knockout against Patalino, William Macario, that he's got some big striking. He's a huge guy for the welterweight division. I mean, like a huge guy, very lengthy, very, very strong in his striking. But I just think Alan Jouban is a little bit better here and can hurt him to the body. I think he can hurt him to the body as well. We saw against, who was Matt Dwyer against? Albert Tumanov. He hit him with some kicks. And I think that Dwyer's a little bit slow to react to kicks sometimes. If Jouban uses that, I think he can definitely take out Matt Dwyer. I'm actually picking Jouban to take out Matt Dwyer here. But this should be a fun fight while it lasts. So Alan Jouban versus via TKO in the first. Lightweight division with Kevin Lee against James Montasri, another good fight. Kevin Lee, I think he's undefeated in the... No, that's lies, because he lost his first fight to Alcantara. He's on a 3-fight win streak, all via decisions. Wins over Jesse Ronson, John Tuck, which is a good victory, and Michel Prazares, a guy who's quite lengthy for that division, down there at lightweight. And he has really solid wrestling with a nice jab to follow up as well. Whereas against James Montasri, who's just an exciting fighter everywhere. We saw against Cody Pfister that the guy will try and be exciting anywhere the fight goes. And he got the victory last time out in Broomfield, where he caught Pfister via rear naked choke. So this guy's dangerous everywhere he goes. it's interesting to see if he actually makes weight. I think he's missed weight a couple of times in his last 3 fights. He lost one in the RFA. I know he missed pretty badly by about £5. I think it was £3 last time out. I like Kevin Lee's grappling chops. I don't think he's going to leave anything out there for him to get caught. And as long as he kind of keeps his distance from Menagerie, because Menagerie I think has got a Taekwondo background, very, very decent striker. I just like Kevin Lee. I think his blast double is pretty good as well. He'll put you against the cage and he'll take you down. So Kevin Lee will be a decision for me. Women's bantamweight division with Holly Holm against Marion Renault. I already talked about Marion Renault. She beat the shit out of Alexis Dufresne. Like, Dufresne's face at the end was really bad. She used the jab very well. Second fight in the UFC against Jessica Andrade. She was getting her ass beat a little bit, went down to the ground and caught a beautiful submission. With Holly Holm, this is her second fight in the UFC. Now, we've all seen at UFC 184 against Raquel Pennington. She was very tentative, very... you could tell she was nervous, very scared. It's one of the ones that you've seen there. It's fighters coming into the UFC, and she was kind of overawed. But she managed to get the victory, showed some of her trademark boxing off. I think in this fight, she's going to be a lot more calm, and she will show the real Holly Holm. She'll start throwing some of those kicks she was known for. And actually put some combinations together, because she did not do that at all against Raquel Pennington. So I like Holly Holm in this fight. I think she can knock out Marion Renault. I don't think she will. I think Renault is a tough cookie. So Holly Holm will be a decision for me there. Lightweight division with Josh Thompson against Tony Ferguson. Now, I've liked Tony Ferguson. Never been his biggest fan. He kind of put me off back in The Ultimate Fighter. But his skills that he's shown now is fantastic. He's just everywhere this guy fights. He's very, very dangerous. He's very long. I think he's got like a 5-inch reach advantage over Thompson in this fight. He lost to Michael Johnson back in, I think it was 2012 I think it was. And since then he's knocked off 5 wins, stoppages over Mike Rio via submission, a KO punch of Katsunori Kakuno, a very close split decision, which I think he just got against Danny Castillo. Beautiful rear naked choke when Abel Trujillo gassed out, and Gleison Tebow, he caught him in a submission at UFC 184 as well. If you give this guy an opportunity to kind of get you to the ground and get a hold of something, you're in big trouble, because Tebow's been around a long time, hasn't been really stopped that many times, but he caught that submission there. As soon as he got the back, it was over. So if he gets the back here against Josh Thompson, I know Thompson's a wily veteran, and this may be Thompson's swan song in the UFC. I don't really see him fighting after this one. He's coming off a couple of close split decision losses to Benson Henderson and Bobby Green. His only win in the UFC was against Nate Diaz, and I think there was some way back in the day he had wins in the UFC. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I think this is the coming out party for Tony Ferguson. I really do. I think he's going to really hurt Thompson on the feet. I think he's going to get him to the ground. I just don't see him stopping Josh Thompson. He's got a very good chance to do so. I think Thompson is just a wily veteran and will manage to stay the course, but I don't see him winning the fight at all. So I like Tony Ferguson. I like him via decision. Co-main event, we have, let me say this, Gilbert Melendez. If everybody's seen the UFC, the new fighter kit, they totally butchered Gilbert Melendez's name, and a lot of other ones saying that. But he's coming in here against Ali Akinta. This was supposed to be Bobby Green and Ali Akinta in the co-main event, but Green pulled out via injury. Melendez is coming off that loss a few weeks ago against Eddie Alvarez. I say Ali Akinta is on a little bit of a run, and he's shown some really good, his last 4 fights, he's shown a lot of improvements, especially in his striking, with 3 of those 4 wins coming via TKO. One of the coolest dudes I've ever met. Had a good time with him down in Manchester with Ray Longo and Matt Serra. Just, the guys are absolute nut jobs. Lost to Mitch Clark. He was very sloppy, went in for a takedown and just got caught. Wins over Rodrigo Dam, a knockout Ross Pearson, which is nice, a knockout of Joe Lauzon, which is really nice, and a very close split decision victory for himself against Jorge Masvidal, showing ever improving striking, and he's always got that wrestling to kind of come back into it again if things aren't going well on the feet here. But he's against one of the I still think he's one of the best in the lightweight division. And Gilbert Melendez, I just don't think he prepared right for UFC 188 down in Mexico City. Gassed pretty badly, and Alvarez, very good game plan. He kind of changed it up and wrestled the victory away from Gilbert Melendez there. So Melendez is a pretty decent fighter everywhere. I think there's be more at sea level here. He's close to home. I think there's be a lot better for his gas tank. I would love to see Al Iaquinta win, but for some reason Gilbert Melendez, I just think he's going to spoil him here. I think he's going to just out. It's hard to say. I think because I like Al Iaquinta so much that I really want him to win, but I think looking at both skill sets, I think Gilbert Melendez has enough to beat Iaquinta here, so I'm actually going to go Gilbert Melendez via decision. And the main event, we have Frank Mir against Todd Duffee. This fight isn't going to go 5 rounds. Watched taping them this morning. Todd Duffee, I think he's had 3 wins in UFC, and all of his 3 wins have came in under like 2 minutes 40 seconds combined all together. The guy is a wrecking machine. Last time out against Anthony Hamilton, hit him with a huge right hand, followed up with some huge punches. Covers distance fairly quick with those big punches. Watched the fight against Phil DeFries, got taken down pretty easily in that fight. Showed some nice clinch work against the cage, but did get taken down and ate some shots from Phil DeFries. Got back up and hit him with some huge right hands, took him out. And of course there was that 7-second KO of Tim Hague as well. So he's against Frank Mir, who's, I think this could possibly be his last UFC fight. Coming off a victory over Antonio Bigfoot Silva, which is not saying a lot because Bigfoot Silva, his chin has just disappeared. It's gone since he came off that TRT. And last time out down in Brazil, he came out in the orthodox stance, which is kind of weird for Frank Mir, as he's always been in the southpaw stance. If Frank Mir can stay like really technical in this fight and show some nice feints, I think he's got a really good chance to win. He feinted a jab against Bigfoot Silva and followed up with a left hook which dropped him and came in and levelled him with some elbows from the bottom, devastating elbows. But we've seen in the Nogueira fight, if he stays technical on his feet, he's got a great chance to win fight. He hurts you on the feet, no doubt about it, and he's got those jiu-jitsu skills where nobody, I don't care who you are, wants Frank Mir grabbing any part of your body once it hits the ground, whether he's on his back or anything at all. He has knockout power. I just think that Todd Duffee is going to go off quicker here, and he's going to come out and bum rush Frank Mir. Mir's chin has got to be deteriorating after the amount of fights he's been in the UFC and the amount of big hits he's took. I would love to pick Frank Mir. I can't do it. I just think I'm going to go with the youth of kind of Todd Duffee and the power, the raw, explosive power from Todd Duffee. If Mir can survive the first round, I think he's got a great chance of winning the fight. As we saw with Mike Russell in the past, he kind of took Duffy's best shots and then took out Duffee later on in the fight. I just think that this is a bad fight for Frank Mir right now. That he's got a fighter who's just hungry and hasn't really fought much, so he'll be ready to go. I just like Todd Duffee in this fight, but would love if Frank Mir got the victory here. So say Todd Duffee, TKO, first round. So that's my picks for UFC Fight Night 71. Tomorrow I'll do UFC Fight Night 72, which I'm buzzing for down in Glasgow here in Scotland. Keep your eye out for that. I have all my other prediction videos out. Give them a watch if you can. Comment below, and I will be back. Keep an eye out tomorrow for that video, and I will see you later. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.